Testing, testing.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. Let's go.
Whew, what a week it's been.
Oh, yeah, truly. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily, and welcome to What a Week.
You want it, we got it. We're bringing you the top news and pop culture stories you need to be in the know.
Let's dive right in.
Okay, literal, what a week, what a week, what a week. Okay. Obviously, this is going to be very election results related. All of this is going to be that.
Yeah, you've been warned.
You've been warned. So first, we will get to the California props, since, you know, that's what we covered for y'all. Hopefully you all voted on them. So we covered the 12 California props for you a couple weeks ago, and now the results are in almost. With 84% of precincts in, 9 of the props have officially been called. We're going to explain them a bit more probably on our Instagram, what happens when each prop passes or doesn't pass. But for now, here's what we know so far. Okay, so Prop 16 has failed. This one would have allowed affirmative action to return to California. Prop 17 has passed. This allows parolees to vote and has granted voting rights to about 50,000 people. This, in my opinion, is huge win, and is a step in the right direction. Prop 18 has failed. This would have allowed 17-year-olds to vote in the primaries if they would have been 18 by the election. Prop 20 has failed. This would have toughened crime laws and ended up putting more people in prison. This one failed with a 62% vote so far, which is a huge sign that California is moving forward and investing in communities rather than prisons. Prop 21 has failed. This would have allowed local governments to enact rent control as they saw fit. Prop 22 has passed. This is the prop that Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and other companies funneled more than $200 million into to get it to pass, which was absolutely unprecedented and insane, and I guess it worked for them. Now their workers can continue to be independent contractors and get special work rules rather than all the benefits and protections that a normal employee would get at a normal company. Prop 23 has failed. This would have enforced stricter safety standards into kidney dialysis clinics. Another hugely advertised prop, I will add. Prop 24 has passed. This was that 52-page long measure that changes up consumer privacy laws. And finally, Prop 25 has failed. This was the prop that would have gotten rid of bail and replaced it with a risk assessment system. Honestly, this one doesn't surprise me. Some of the other ones really surprise me, but this one does not surprise me, as Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, defund police organizations, as well as sheriffs and police orgs all across the state supported no on this one.
Interesting. The one that I'm really surprised that it passed is the one where like 17-year-olds were allowed to vote. I was just like, what?
I know. I think it's weird. I think a lot of them are quite odd, but especially that one.
Yeah. A lot of pretty historic things happened this election, and we want to give a quick breakdown of some of those things. So first, Colorado voters voted to strike down Prop 115, which was a proposed ban on abortion after 22 weeks. On the other hand, Louisiana voters voted to amend their state's constitution to not grant the right to an abortion. Analysts say this will have little immediate effect, but if the Supreme Court were to overturn Roe v. Wade, the amendment would ensure that the state doesn't grant abortion rights. Mississippi voters made a major change as well. They voted to change their state flag. The new flag features a magnolia blossom surrounded by 20 stars signifying Mississippi's status as the 20th state in the Union, and a gold 5-point star to reflect Mississippi's indigenous Native American tribes. Until now, Mississippi was the last state in the country whose flag, which was adopted in 1894, included the Confederate emblem.
Wow.
And lastly, 4 states legalized marijuana. Those states are Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, and South Dakota. Now 15 states have approved cannabis for adult use in the U.S.
Wow, some of those are huge. That's like...
Yeah.
Some of them are wild to hear. But, I mean, in terms of history being made, this was such a historic election for so many reasons, and we have to call out some of the other amazing wins across the United States. So, Human Rights Campaign spokesperson Sarah McBride will become the highest-ranking transgender politician in the country after winning her state Senate race in Delaware's District 1. ACLU community organizer Marie Turner made history last night after winning their race to represent Oklahoma City's 88th district, becoming the country's first non-binary state legislator. They're also the first Muslim in Oklahoma's state house. Former teacher Stephanie Byers has won her race in Kansas's 86th congressional district, making her the state's first trans state legislator. She's also the first openly trans Native American and person of color elected to state legislator in the whole U.S.
Wow.
I know. Richie Torres and Mondaire Jones both won their New York congressional districts and will be the first out LGBTQ+ Black members of Congress. Torres is also the first out LGBTQ+ Afro-Latinx person elected to Congress. Okay, plus on a California state level, I wanted to call attention to some other newly elected officials. First, Todd Gloria has been elected mayor of San Diego. He described himself as California's first Native American, Filipino, Latino, LGBT assemblyman. And now he's made San Diego the largest in the US to elect an out gay man as mayor. Alex Lee just won his district assembly race in the South Bay area, making him the youngest lawmaker in 8 decades at only 25 years old. He's the first openly bisexual state legislator in California, the youngest Asian American state legislator, and the first Gen Z, for all my Gen Zers out there, state legislator. And lastly, criminal justice reformer George Gascon has been elected as the next prosecutor of Los Angeles. LA County has the country's largest jail population. A former police officer, Gascon supports sweeping law enforcement reform and plans to serve as district attorney with a progressive agenda. And honestly, this is super interesting. Police unions spent roughly $5 million to try to defeat him.
Well, it didn't work.
Yes.
That's awesome and insane how much money they spent. Ooh, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the friction between him and the police departments.
Definitely. I know, it's so cool just to see all these wins, like, across the United States and in California. I mean, obviously the presidential election, which we're about to get to, is something we all had our eyes on like crazy, but, like, all these wins are so awesome, too.
It, like, almost, like, makes me makes me tear up, honestly, because it's just, like, people talk about, like, we're the future and, like, the young people, and it's just, like, you know, I like to think that young people had a huge impact in all these historic people breaking down the glass ceiling and just, like, making all this change. So it's just, like, it just warms my heart to see, like, all this happen.
Definitely.
And now to our main story. I don't know if you heard, but we have a new president-elect. It's been... I don't have a shirt. It's been quite the week. I feel like everything in this year, the past, like, election day, Tuesday, dragged on. Just, like, it's been March for, like, 6 or 7 months now.
We have all lived through 2021 and 2022 at this point.
Like, I
it
feel
has
like
been
I'm
long.
30 because I aged so much this year.
Literally.
But the wait is finally over. Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States, and Kamala Harris is the first vice president-elect of the United States. Biden secured the win Saturday morning when he won the state of Pennsylvania, pushing his electoral votes to 279. His win broke records. Biden received the most votes in U.S. history, with 73 million ballots counted for him thus far, which exceeds the previous record of 69.4 million votes that were cast for Obama in 2018.
Wow.
And he's not the only one that broke history. Kamala Harris broke it too. She is the first woman, first Black woman, and first Asian vice president-elect. It is important to note that as of Sunday, November 8th, we are still waiting for the results from Alaska, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. But even if Trump won all 4 of those states, he still wouldn't have enough votes to beat Biden. Well,
I'm, like, just smiling. Oh my gosh. I mean, literally, like, yesterday, or I guess Saturday for people, we're recording on Sunday, seeing like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris speak to everyone and address us was like, I fully cried. Like, I've watered up many times. I fully cried one time. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, we're literally, our grandkids are going to be asking us, where were we during this time? Like, it's just so, it's absolutely historic. Just the fact that so many people voted for their ticket, and just the fact that Kamala Harris is literally like making huge points of history. Like, it's so amazing it's such an honor to have voted for them.
Yeah. And it's just, to your point, like, seeing Kamala speak was just like so moving, and I think she just has that voice. And like, I remember working at KPBS years ago, and when she was running for senator for the first time, and I met her because she was running with a whole bunch of people, and it's just like, to think that was like 8 years ago, or maybe not even like that, like at least at most 10 years ago, and to think she's now vice president or vice president elect is just like mind blowing. And it's just so nice as a woman, like, to know that you're being represented, and as a person of color, to know that you're being represented, even though she's not Hispanic, she's still a person of color. She's holding it down for all the people of color out there. So it's just like so impactful, and I hope that they do a great job for us. You know, it benefits everyone that they succeed, and hopefully people continue to hold them accountable, because the fight isn't over. The fight, we still got to fight that fight, but, you know, at least you can be hopeful now.
Definitely. I know. And going off to your point, it's just representation matters. Yeah. And I love following her niece, Mina Harris.
Oh, like, my God, I love her.
I love her. I love following her. And she tweeted yesterday that her little 4-year-old was running around the house yelling, "Black girls can be president." And it's like, I could cry. It's amazing. And it's just so, it's history. I'm so proud to see it.
Me too. Me freaking too. And so now that we have a president-elect and a vice president-elect, what happens next? So we talked about the Electoral College in our last episode, and well, it isn't official until the state's electors cast their vote. So on November 3rd, everyone voted for who they wanted to be president, and the person who got the most votes for that state picked up all of the state's electoral votes. So now, according to federal law, each state has until December 8th to resolve any controversy or contest concerning the results, which means all those lawsuits Trump filed saying the election was rigged need to be resolved by December 8th. Then, on December 14th, the electors officially cast their votes for president and vice president. But that's not all. There's more. It's a process. So the votes are supposed to be delivered to the vice president and a handful of other officials by December 23rd. Then, when the new Congress is sworn in on January 3rd, 2021, they officially open those votes and count them to declare the official winner. And then, on January 20th, the new president and the vice president are sworn into office. And between all of that fun voting stuff, there is supposed to be a transition of power between the current President Trump and the president-elect. And they kind of have to work together on this, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how it turns out. So the current president and his administration, Trump in our case, has to brief the president-elect on what's going on in the country, give them guidance and lessons learned to help them carry out their duties, and make sure everyone is prepared to take on their new role. Trump, as of Sunday, November 8th, hasn't conceded yet, so this transition of power could be a little bumpy. And one thing is for sure, when Biden takes office, he will have a lot of work to do. The country is still in a pandemic. The economy has fallen. There's civil unrest after years of social injustice, and global warming is still very much a very real threat. And another thing Biden could have to worry about, possibly pardoning Trump. So I actually read a couple of articles the other day, which I wanted to point out because I didn't realize this, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize this, but a sitting U.S. president can't be indicted. So up until now, Trump has avoided several possible charges, like possible obstruction of justice and potential tax fraud. If criminal charges are brought up against Trump between now and January 20th, he could resign before the inauguration, making Vice Pence president, and Mike Pence could pardon him so that he wouldn't have to face criminal charges for all of these possible crimes. This is a hypothetical of what could happen. But let's say he doesn't resign, or let's say he resigns but Mike Pence chooses not to pardon him, then that kind of falls on Biden. Biden would have a really tough choice to make. He could either allow the justice system to play out and have Trump possibly face the punishment of his actions if he gets charged, or if he doesn't. And also, like, a point I want to bring up is also, like, let's say Trump is charged for all these things and there's a trial. That trial would be in the headlines for months, if not years. Trump would be all people are talking about, and it would kind of overshadow a lot of the things Biden is doing. And it also gives Trump that platform still of, like, talking to his supporters, possibly spreading conspiracy theories, or just saying a whole bunch of things, or, like, kind of talking bad about Biden. And historically, the president who just left office doesn't really get involved too much until a couple years down the line. Obama didn't really speak too much about Trump until maybe 2 years ago. So it would put Biden in a really awkward situation. And let's say he does pardon him, that also puts Biden in a really tough situation, because he would honestly piss off his party and he would upset a lot of the people that voted for him. If he pardons him, maybe Trump can go to Mar-a-Lago and just play golf and just be quiet. But there's also a possibility that he's not. They could pardon him and he would just be like, well, I didn't do anything wrong, and continue to talk bad about Biden or spread conspiracy theories. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for him. It's definitely a really position to be in. To put it into context, President Ford pardoned former President Nixon after he left office because of the Watergate scandal. So this has been done before.
I mean, I don't know. It's, like, weird to even imagine, like, I feel like I'm just so ingrained with, like, having Trump as a president, because, like, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I guess I just didn't pay attention as much before. And then before Obama, I was too young, because I was in, I think, like, 7th grade when Obama.
And high school.
Yeah. So it's just, like, I don't know, like, what happens to, like, a president after? I mean, a president who's unhinged after they're no longer in office. I don't know. So I feel like either way he's going to be, I don't know. It's a tough decision, because I think either way, you're right. There's so many cons either way.
Yeah, it really kind of, I mean, I kind of do feel bad for Biden, because, like I mentioned earlier, it's in everyone's best interest that my phone's ringing. I have a landline and my phone's ringing, so if you hear it, that's what it is.
I love it.
I'm surprised I've never heard it ring before. Anyways, it's in everyone's best interest that Biden and Kamala do really well, and I just feel like all the odds are kind of against them at this point, because there's a pandemic. No matter what they do to make the pandemic better or to improve it, or, you know, everyone's health and make sure everyone's safe, people are going to get mad at them regardless. And then now with this Trump thing, like, Trump's not going to go quietly. They're probably going to have to push him out and drag him out of that White House. So it's just like, for the rest of our lives, we're going to have to hear Trump. Yeah. He could possibly run again.
Yeah. I mean, per what I've seen, he definitely wants to run again, which is not great for all of us. Or who'd you say?
Ivanka could run it too.
Oh, yeah. Or, like, I've even seen, like, they've been offered a reality show. I'm like, can we just keep it at that? Like, let's just, you guys can go on E! Network and just do your thing.
Not on E! I love E!
Like, let's just keep it at that. Yeah, go on Bravo or something. But it's just, like, it's to your point, too, what you said, like, the fact that, like, typically there's a whole, like, debriefing in the president and the president-elect meet, and he, like, would explain, like, what's going on, whereas I don't think it'll be that way. I think just the example of the pandemic, like, Biden is going into this position of having to pick up a lot of pieces, a lot of them. And I don't think this is going to be easy even if it was the easiest it possibly could be, it would still be hard, because so many Americans are dead and so many Americans are getting this virus every single day.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but it's going to be a very interesting next 2 months.
Oh yeah, these next 2 months are going to be like a reality show for sure.
Oh, fully.
Yeah, which is our life. But I mean, like you said, for the first time in a really long time, I'm hopeful.
Me too.
So today And yesterday, and probably for the next week, I'm just going to be happy and continue to feel this hope and then know that our work continues. But at least for now, we have this little win.
I agree. I mean, I was saying that yesterday too. I just I feel so good. And I have not felt this feeling of hopeful and feeling like things are going to happen and to go our way in a long time. So it feels really good.
And seeing everyone, it makes me nervous because when I see everyone partying out on the streets, I'm like, COVID's a thing. Guys, it's gonna be bad. It's already so bad. Oh my God, just go inside. But also it makes me just happy to see people celebrating, which I guess could be kind of contradicting to what I just said 2 seconds ago. But it's just everyone, I went to the grocery store and people were smiling and everybody seemed happy. And I remember when Trump won, we were at San Diego State, and that next day it felt so dead and heavy. So it's just so nice to have the opposite thing, and just people are just nice to each other and they're smiling at strangers, which I feel hasn't happened for such a long time personally to me. So it's just it's nice.
Oh, I fully agree. I have goosebumps thinking about it. Yesterday, I drove around, or as soon as the news hit, I was driving around in Hillcrest in San Diego, and literally everyone was honking and screaming and cheering. People had pride flags and their Biden signs, and it was just so, God, it felt so good. I felt so happy. So, I mean, it's feeling good, you guys.
It's feeling good. And let's talk about good news. What's the good news of the week, Alex?
And our good news of the week, literally everyone said the same thing. Biden and Harris were elected. So you guys are all feeling as good as we are.
And, well, that does it for us. And let me tell you, we are tired after this week. So because of that, we're going to take a quick pause for our mental health, and we're just going to take a break next week. So we won't be back until the following week, which is, let me pull up my calendar.
And I'm what are days anymore?
What are days? So you can expect a new episode from us the Thanksgiving week on November 23rd.
Yes, we'll see you then.
We'll see you then. Don't forget to keep up with us and all of our prop coverage and all of our continued election coverage on our Instagram, Twitter, which are, Alex?
Yes, on Instagram, we're at What a Week Show, and on Twitter, we're at What a Week Show _
And you can also follow us on YouTube. It's What a Week with Alex and Emily, or you could subscribe or be a Patreon for us. We would love that if you want to continue donating, or you can also follow us on TikTok.
Yes, What a Week Show _ I made a TikTok the other day because I was like, let's give some mental health tips. I didn't take any of them, but that's okay.
It's okay. But yeah, that's it. That is it for us. Have a great, great week, everybody. Stay happy, stay hopeful. We'll talk to you guys in a week.
Yes, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.